When David Guetta questioned if young DJs were making their own music, Avicii walked into the studio and tore down Levels right in front of him. What happened next changed how the industry saw talent forever. This is the story of the moment respect was earned in real time. Miami, 2012. Music Week. The air smells like saltwater and ambition. Every hotel lobby is packed with DJs, producers, managers, and journalists. This isn't just a festival, it's a battlefield where reputations are built or destroyed in 72 hours. David Guetta sits in a white leather chair at the W Hotel third-floor lounge. His sunglasses rest on the table. A small recorder blinks red in front of him. The interviewer, a guy in his mid-30s with a notebook, leans forward. So, David, what do you think about the new wave of young producers blowing up right now? Guetta crosses his arms. He's been doing this for 20 years. He's seen trends come and go. He's watched bedroom producers become stadium headliners overnight. He's seen the industry shift from vinyl to digital, from underground raves to corporate festivals. And through it all, he's learned one thing: not everything is what it seems. Look, he says, his French accent still thick after all these years in the States. I respect the hustle. But let's be honest, some of these guys are moving way too fast. You don't go from 0 to 100 million streams in 6 months by yourself. The interviewer raises an eyebrow. You think they're not making their own music? Guetta shrugs. I'm not saying names, but ghost production is real. It's always been real. And now with the internet, it's easier than ever to hire someone in Sweden or Holland to make your track while you just show up and press play. He leans back, confident. The real test? Put them in a studio. No laptop, no presets, just them and the gear. Let's see who can actually build a song from scratch. The interviewer scribbles notes. Have you ever used a ghost producer? Guetta laughs. Me? No. I've collaborated with people, sure, but I know how to build a track. I know what every knob does. I know how to mix, how to master, how to arrange. That's the difference. The recorder keeps blinking. The interviewer keeps writing. And somewhere across Miami, in a rented house near the beach, Tim Bergling, better known as Avicii, is watching that same interview on his phone. Tim's sitting on a couch in a living room that smells like pizza and energy drinks. There are MIDI controllers on the coffee table, cables everywhere. His manager, Ash, is pacing near the window, talking on the phone in Swedish. The conversation sounds tense, something about a festival slot, a contract dispute. Tim replays the video. Guetta's voice comes through the tinny speaker. You don't go from 0 to 100 million streams in 6 months by yourself. Tim's jaw tightens. He's 22 years old. Levels dropped last year and exploded. It's been played at every festival, every club, every radio station on the planet. It's been remixed, bootlegged, covered. It's become bigger than him. And now, one of the biggest names in dance music is implying he didn't make it himself. Tim thinks back to the night he created Levels. A tiny apartment in Stockholm, 4 a.m. He'd been up for 30 hours straight. He'd sampled Etta James, chopped the vocal, pitched it, built the chords around it. The bass line came next. Then the drums. He'd tweaked every sound, every layer, every transition. He'd listened to it 100 times before he even showed it to anyone. And now, Guetta's sitting in a hotel lounge acting like guys like him are frauds. Ash hangs up and looks over. You good? Tim doesn't answer. He's already texting someone. Where's Guetta staying? Ash frowns. Why? Just tell me. Ash sighs. He knows that tone. Tim's not the confrontational type, but when he gets an idea in his head, there's no stopping him. Last I heard, he's got a studio session booked at Criteria Studios tonight. Some promo thing with a few journalists and local DJs. Why? What are you thinking? Tim stands up. He grabs his laptop bag and a small MIDI keyboard from the corner of the room. It's a simple Akai controller. Compact. Portable. He's used it in hotel rooms, on tour buses, in airports. It's all he needs. I'm thinking it's time to show him what from scratch looks like. Ash's eyes widen. Tim, don't do anything stupid. But Tim's already out the door. Criteria Studios, 10:47 p.m. The studio is one of the most iconic in Miami. Legends have recorded here. The Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, Bob Marley. The walls have history soaked into them. Tonight, it's been rented out for a private session. Guetta's inside with a handful of people, 2 journalists, a photographer, his manager, and a few local producers who got invited for content. The vibe is relaxed. Guetta's playing some unreleased tracks through the massive studio monitors. People are nodding along, sipping drinks. There's a bottle of champagne on the desk. Someone's recording on their phone. It's half work, half party. This is how the industry works. Access, content, hype. Then the door opens. Everyone turns. Tim Bergling walks in. No entourage, no assistant. Just him, a backpack, and a small MIDI controller under his arm. Guetta looks up from the mixing desk. He doesn't recognize him at first. The room goes quiet. The music keeps playing, but no one's listening anymore. Can I help you? Guetta asks, polite but confused. Tim stops in the middle of the room. He's wearing a plain black t-shirt, jeans, sneakers. His hair is a little messy. He looks tired, but his eyes are sharp, focused. I saw your interview, Tim says. His voice is calm, but there's an edge to it. The one about young producers, about ghost production. Guetta's expression shifts. Recognition flickers across his face. Now he knows who this is. Avicii, right? Yeah. The photographers sense something. One of them slowly lifts his camera. The other pulls out his phone. Guetta stands up, arms crossed. He's taller than Tim, more built. Look, man, I wasn't talking about you specifically. I know, Tim cuts him off, but you were talking about people like me. So I figured I'd come show you how I work. Guetta raises an eyebrow. The room is completely silent now except for the low hum of the studio equipment. Show me? Tim walks over to the desk and sets his MIDI keyboard down. He opens his laptop. The screen glows blue. He's running Ableton Live. Same setup he uses everywhere. Same software he used to make Levels. You said the real test is putting someone in a studio with no presets, no tricks. Just them and the gear. He looks at Guetta. Direct eye contact. So let's do it. The room is frozen. No one moves. No one speaks. One of the journalists glances at the other. This wasn't on the schedule. Guetta stares at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he smiles. Not a friendly smile. A challenge. He's been in this industry long enough to know when someone's calling him out. All right, Guetta says. He gestures to the empty chair in front of the computer. Go ahead. Impress me. Tim sits down. He doesn't hesitate. He plugs in the MIDI controller, opens Ableton, and pulls up a blank project. The interface is clean, empty, no samples loaded, no effects chains, just a blank canvas. One of the journalists whispers to another, "Is this really happening?" The photographer starts recording. This is content gold. Tim cracks his knuckles. You know Levels, right? Guetta nods. Of course he does. Everyone does. It's one of the biggest dance tracks of the decade. I'm going to break it down, show you every layer, every sound, how it was built, no samples, no presets, from zero. He looks at Guetta. And if you think any of it was made by someone else, call me out, right here, right now. Guetta doesn't say anything, but he pulls up a chair and sits next to him, close, watching. His arms are still crossed, but his posture has shifted. He's paying attention now. Tim starts with the piano. His fingers move across the MIDI keys. He's not playing a melody yet. He's building the sound first. He pulls up a basic piano VST, not a preset. He starts from scratch, adjusts the attack, the release, the tone. "This is the bass," he says, talking while he works. "The chords and levels are simple, but the texture isn't. You have to layer it. You have to make it feel warm, but also big." He plays a chord, C major. It rings out through the studio monitors, clean, simple, but not interesting yet. Guetta leans forward slightly. His skepticism is still there, but curiosity is creeping in. Tim adds EQ, cuts the low end, boosts the mids slightly, adds compression to glue it together, then reverb. Not too much, just enough to give it space. He plays the chord again. Now it has depth. Now it breathes. "Better," Tim says, but still not there. He duplicates the track, adds another layer, a brighter piano sound, pitched up an octave. Same chords, different texture. He EQs it differently. Carves out space so it doesn't clash with the first layer. Then a third layer, softer, with more reverb, lower in the mix, almost felt more than heard. 3 layers, all playing the same chords, but each one carved out to sit in a different part of the frequency spectrum. Guetta's arms are still crossed, but his expression has changed. He's not skeptical anymore. He's listening, actually listening. "Now the bass," Tim says. He pulls up a synth, not a preset. He initializes it. Pure sine wave, the most basic waveform. Then he starts shaping it. He adds a filter, tweaks the cutoff, adds a second oscillator, slightly detuned, layers it with a sub-bass, pure low end. He uses a sine wave for the sub, clean, no harmonics, just fundamental frequency. "The bass line in levels is what drives the whole track," Tim explains. His fingers move across the keyboard, programming the MIDI notes. "People think it's just a loop. It's not. It moves, it breathes. You have to automate the filter, make it open up in the drop. That's what gives it energy." He draws in the automation with his mouse. The filter cutoff sweeps up during the build-up, opening the sound, making it brighter, more aggressive. He plays it back. The bass hits, deep, powerful. The room feels it in their chests. One of the local producers whispers, "Holy shit, the photographer is recording everything. This is going to be everywhere by tomorrow." Tim doesn't stop. He's in the zone now. He adds the drums, kick, snare, hi-hats. He doesn't use samples from a pack. He pulls up a drum synth and builds the kick from scratch, tunes it to the key of the track, adds a tiny bit of distortion to make it punch through the mix. The snare is layered, a sharp transient on top, a softer tail underneath, clap sound mixed in for width, hi-hats. He programs them with velocity variation, not all at the same volume. Some hit softer, some harder. It feels human, organic, not robotic. Guetta uncrosses his arms. He's leaning forward now, both hands on his knees, watching every move. Tim adds the vocal chop, the iconic "Oh sometimes" line from Etta James. But he doesn't just drop the sample in. He shows the process. "This vocal is from Something's Got a Hold on Me," Tim says. "I didn't just grab it and drop it in. I had to find the right part, chop it at the right transient so it sounds clean, pitch it to fit the key, time stretch it so it sits in the groove without sounding warped." He isolates the vocal, plays it dry, then he processes it. EQ to remove the low end, compression to make it sit forward in the mix, a touch of reverb for space, sidechain compression so it ducks slightly when the kick hits. He plays it. The vocal cuts through the mix, bright and emotional, instantly recognizable. Guetta leans back in his chair. He's not smiling anymore. He's just watching, processing. Tim keeps building. He adds the side chain pumping effect that makes the whole track breathe. He shows how the kick triggers a compressor on the bass and chords, making them duck every time the kick hits. That's what gives Levels its signature bounce. He adds the risers. White noise sweeps that build tension before the drop. He automates the volume, the filter, the pitch. Every detail matters. 15 minutes pass. The track is taking shape. It's not finished. It's not mastered. But it's recognizable. It's Levels. The room is silent except for the music playing through the monitors. Tim stops. He takes his hands off the keyboard and looks at Guetta. "That's how I built it," he says. "Every sound, every layer, me. In a room just like this one. Alone. At 4 a.m. Because I wanted to make something that mattered." The room is silent. You can hear the air conditioning hum. Someone shifts their weight. A phone buzzes, ignored. Guetta stands up. He walks to the window. His back is to everyone. For a moment, no one knows what he's thinking. The tension in the room is thick. The journalists exchange glances. One of them looks like he wants to say something, but doesn't. Then Guetta turns around. His expression is different now. The skepticism is gone. So is the challenge. What's left is something softer. Respect. "Play it," he says. Tim looks at him. "What?" "The whole thing. From the top. Let me hear it." Tim hits play. The track rolls through the studio monitors. It's raw, unmastered. The levels aren't perfect. The mix isn't polished. But it's there. The chords, the bass, the vocal, the energy, the soul. Guetta listens with his eyes closed. His head nods slightly to the rhythm. When the drop hits, the side chain pumps, the bass rolls, the vocal chops cut through. He feels it. Everyone in the room feels it. When the track ends, silence fills the space again. Guetta opens his eyes. He looks at Tim, really looks at him. Then he extends his hand. "I was wrong," Guetta says. His voice is quiet but firm. "Not about ghost production. That's still real. That happens. But about you. You're the real deal." Tim shakes his hand. His grip is firm. He doesn't smile. He doesn't gloat. He just nods. "I just wanted you to know," Tim says quietly. "Some of us are actually doing the work." Guetta nods. "I see that now, and I respect it." One of the journalists starts clapping. Slow at first. Then another joins. Soon, the whole room is clapping. But it's not loud. It's not celebratory. It's respectful, reverent, like they just witnessed something that mattered, something real. Tim packs up his gear. He doesn't say much. He closes his laptop, wraps the cable around his MIDI controller, and slings his backpack over his shoulder. Before he leaves, Guetta calls out, "Hey, Tim." Tim stops, turns around. Guetta's standing by the desk, arms at his sides now. His expression is softer than it was an hour ago. "If you ever want to work on something together," Guetta says, "my door's open. For real." Tim smiles, just a little. "Maybe," he says. Then he's gone. Outside, the Miami night is warm and humid. Tim walks down the street toward his car. Palm trees sway in the breeze. He can hear music from a club a few blocks away, bass thumping through the walls. Miami never sleeps during Music Week. His phone buzzes, multiple texts from Ash. "Where are you? What happened?" People are already talking about it. Someone posted a video. Tim doesn't reply. Not yet. He just gets in the car, starts the engine, and drives. The city lights blur past. He doesn't put on music. He just drives in silence, processing what just happened. Back inside the studio, Guetta sits down at the desk. He pulls up the project Tim built. He listens to it again. This time, alone. He scrolls through the tracks, looks at the EQ curves, the compression settings, the automation, every decision intentional, every layer purposeful. One of the journalists approaches. "You think that'll change anything? The ghost production stuff?" Guetta shrugs. "Probably not. The industry is what it is. But it changed how I see him." He closes the laptop. "That kid's going to be a legend." The journalist nods. "He already is." The room clears out slowly. People gather their things, exchange contact info, make plans for tomorrow's parties. The session's over. But something shifted tonight. Not just between two DJs, between an old guard and a new generation. Respect isn't given. It's built, layer by layer, sound by sound, one decision at a time. 3 days later, someone uploads a shaky phone video to YouTube. It's from that night. The audio isn't great. The framing is off. But you can see Tim sitting at the desk. You can hear his voice explaining the bass line. You can see Guetta leaning in, watching, listening. The video goes viral. 1 million views in 48 hours, 5 million by the end of the week. The comments are brutal toward Guetta at first. Called out. Exposed. Should have kept his mouth shut. But then something interesting happens. People start talking about the craft, about the process, about what it actually takes to make a track that moves the world. The conversation shifts from drama to respect. Tim never comments on it publicly. He doesn't tweet about it, doesn't post about it. He just keeps working, keeps releasing music, keeps playing shows. Levels keeps climbing. New tracks drop. The momentum doesn't stop. But in studios all over the world, young producers start watching that video. And they realize something. Talent isn't about the shortcuts. It's not about the presets or the sample packs or the ghost producers. It's about the hours, the decisions, the layers, the intention. It's about sitting down in front of the gear and proving to yourself and to everyone watching that you can build something from nothing. That night in Miami, Tim didn't just defend himself. He defended everyone who ever stayed up until sunrise perfecting a kick drum. Everyone who ever argued with a compressor, everyone who ever automated a filter, sweep 50 times until it felt right. Everyone who ever believed that the work mattered more than the hype. And Guetta? He never made another comment about young producers being fake. In interviews after that night, when asked about the new generation, his tone changed. "There's a lot of talent out there," he'd say. "Real talent. People doing the work. You just have to look for it." Because he'd seen the truth with his own eyes. He'd sat next to it, watched it happen in real time. Sometimes the best response to doubt isn't a tweet or an interview or a diss track. It's sitting down and showing the world exactly what you're made of.